Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is N2E Fantasy. We're also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2 Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are recapping Week 1 action, and we will be previewing Week 2. But first, some league news.
Right, Alex. So the 49ers here are dominating the news this week, and the first three news items are revolving around the 49ers. And the first one is they did add incentives to wide receiver Juwan Jennings to end his hold in. Basically, his calf injury magically disappeared after this.
His calf injury may have disappeared, but he did pick up another injury in that game.
Wait, hold-in players get injuries more frequently?
Yep,
What?
they sure do.
What? All right. So, in order to supplement all of the wide receiver injuries that they have, they signed one of their favorites in wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. He returns after maybe a 4-year layoff in New England, and they sign him to a 1-year deal worth up to roughly $5 million. So, it does seem like he'll stick on the main roster here for the entirety of the year.
They need the help for sure.
Absolutely. And as I said, the 49ers are dominating the news, and they cut their kicker. I think that you have told me that he's a third rounder, and that's Jake Moody. And, they also have signed kicker Eddie Pinheiro, and believe that will be the kicker that replaces him for the remainder of the season.
At some point, Jeff, you have to wonder if they're going to have a GM change at some point with the 49ers, because John Lynch has been atrocious when it comes to drafting, and I cannot imagine anyone on another team that's drafting as poorly as he has maintain their job and keep their job. He's the one who traded up for Trey Lance, and that was a bust. Drafted a kicker in the third round who was so bad week 1 that they cut him for a guy off the street. Drafted Trey Sermon. We know how that worked out. Drafted a few after letting good veteran defensive players leave. They drafted bust at defense, and luckily for them, getting their old DC and Saleh back, Saleh has helped solidify the defense. Basically, the coaching staff there is the only thing keeping the team running. That and a healthy Christian McCaffrey. Without those, Niners, even with an easy schedule, wouldn't make the playoffs.
No, I hear that. But so we have seen draft busts come back. We'll see if Jake Moody does come back into the NFL at some point. But a guy that looked like a draft bust up to probably last year was first-round pick wide receiver Jameson Williams. And because of his work last year, the Detroit Lions have decided to extend him for an additional 3 years. So he'll be sticking around with the team for the next 4 years. And good for him for turning it around after a year-long suspension and other various items. Yep.
Yeah, multiple injuries. He was drafted with an injury already, I believe.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good move for the Lions. The downside, as you like to send me in text, that it may mean Tesla doesn't get going out the gates, but I didn't really think that he would get going this early because they already have 2 good wide receivers. Top wide receiver in the league in Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I definitely think Jameson Williams is a very talented wide receiver as well. Right now, the Lions have other issues plaguing them with offensive line and aging Jared Goff and changing at the coordinator spots. So hopefully some security with Jameson Williams helps them get past some of those issues as they have some growing pains early, and we'll talk about their matchup later.
Yeah, and if it doesn't help with the growing pains, at least he got paid about roughly $30 million per year. So that helps him
Does
be
that,
on a team.
I was gonna say, does that average out with his expiring deal, or no? Did they
I
give
don't
him a 5th year option? Does this buy out the 5th year option?
I don't remember if they picked it up or not. Like, I don't see how they could have because of the suspension and everything that was happening. So they did pick it up on him. And according to my Google machine, that includes his 5th year option as well. So it is through 26, 27, 28 from what I'm seeing here. So we'll see when the numbers fully come out and what's guaranteed and not guaranteed. Actually, he signed through 2029. So good times, right?
So he's locked in a contract for 5 years, give or take. But obviously, it depends on the guaranteed amount because if it's front loaded, then they might have an out at some point if it goes sour. But he's 24 years old. 5 years for a 24-year-old, as fast and as effective as he is a good deal for the Lions.
Absolutely. And that deal is only going to look better and better and better as time goes on, as receivers get paid more and more and more. Just under the $30 million per year mark. So he's not being paid that elite wide receiver money, but he's being paid pretty great receiver money. All right. Speaking of extensions, the Packers give a 1-year extension to Christian Watson. The wide receiver is currently training to come back from a torn ACL last year, but they signed him to a moderate, I think, $13 million 1-year extension. So part of me wonders if it's a make good for all the time that he's missed all of these years. And the Packers threw him a little bit of a bone for taking a team-friendly deal here.
Yeah. I think it makes sense for both sides because if I was the Packers, I'd want to see. We drafted this guy in the second round. If he can do something, he's been plagued by injuries, and Christian Watson's side, because he's been plagued by injuries, it's not likely a team's going to give him a big contract. So another year added gives him a chance to this year and next year to prove he's capable of being a starting wide receiver in the league and prove that he can stay healthy to earn that next contract.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting move was also done this week, and we know how the Philadelphia Eagles love to trade. That is their specialty. They just never are done trading, it feels like. And this time they traded for the Jaguars' backup running back, Tank Bigsby. And the early rumor is that they like his kick return ability. But Alex, you thought there was other purpose here for Mr. Bigsby.
Yeah, Will Shipley broke his ribs in that game, so they needed someone to back up Saquon Barkley. And Tank Bigsby is closer to the style that Philly likes to play rather than what Liam Cohen and the Jaguars want to play. The Jaguars were loaded at the running back position. They wanted to offload somebody for value and not just cut one of them. So they held on to all their guys, and now they got a 5th and 6th round pick for Tank Bigsby, which tells me even when Will Shipley's back, they're going to use a 3-man committee to an extent. Obviously, Barkley, if he's healthy, is going to get the lion's share of the carries, but they want to run the ball, and now they have 3 backs capable of it.
Absolutely. And then we end the league news portion here with a little bit of somber news. And the Raiders wide receiver that they just recently had signed, Amari Cooper, has decided to retire a few days before the regular season kicked off.
Yeah, I don't know if the whole time he was planning to just retire with the Raiders, or if he got to camp, decided he didn't want to do it, or if he didn't like the fact that he wasn't going to be a starter in the league anymore and decided to quit before he was relegated, but didn't work out for this pairing, this coming home for him, and Raiders seemed like they were okay without him, and we'll cover that later as well.
Absolutely. All right, we can head over to our week 1 recap. And the first game up was the first game of the year. It was the Cowboys at the Eagles. Alex had picked the Eagles, I picked the Cowboys. And the Eagles did win this game 24-20. Some things that I noticed in this game were Dak looked really good, but he was hindered by some drops. AJ Brown looked bad, and I think, Alex, you have a little bit of insight on that. And Alex, I have a question for you. Is Javonte Williams a must start going forward? So I'll let you take those one by one, but what are your thoughts on this game here as you're up 1-0 on me very early?
Well, I think the football gods gave the Cowboys a gift early on in this game by Dak Prescott baiting Jalen Carter into spitting on him and getting ejected from the game, of which they now announced that that game will serve as his suspension, and they took his paycheck for week 1 away, but he'll be playing going forward, assuming he doesn't do anything else stupid week 2. So that really helps both the Cowboys rushing attack work and Dak Prescott be able to play efficiently as far as his throwing. I do think that they did suffer from a lot of drops. They didn't involve George Pickens as much as the fantasy community anticipated. I wouldn't have felt comfortable playing George Pickens against the Eagles defense early on anyway. But that's just me. CeeDee Lamb had a surprising number of drops, which was disappointing. But as we learned week 1, a lot of the top 10 estimated fantasy wide receivers struggled. Only 3 of them had good weeks. The other 7 had subpar weeks. As far as Javonte Williams goes, I thought he was not very effective as a runner, but he was the goal line back. And if the Cowboys get down there and they don't score through the air, they're going to use the running backs in the red zone rather than throw the ball. And I thought him getting involved there shows he's at least capable of getting a touchdown here or there, but I don't expect him to have a big game yards wise. I did think Miles Sanders was a little bit better and showed a little bit more pop, but he fumbled and wasn't seen from again after that. So I don't know what the strategy is here for those running backs, but right now Javonte is borderline running back 3-2 just for potential usage rather than efficiency. And maybe Jadon Blue becomes something later on in the year, but I wasn't as big on Blue as a lot of the fantasy community was. He's a receiving back. He has a little bit of speed to him, but I don't think he's a lead ball carrier. I think he's more of a complimentary back. So maybe a 1-2 punch of Javonte Williams and Jaden Blue would be good, but that would make both of them flex plays.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who would you rather own right now? Is it George Pickens or is it AJ Brown?
I did forget about the AJ Brown question. Cowboys ran 100% zone defense. That is the weaker side to AJ Brown's game. Obviously, the Eagles want to run the ball a lot more and not pass as much as other teams in the league. Cowboys, on the other hand, probably won't have that successful of a run game going forward. Will be limited to passing and probably playing negative game scripts. So we'll have to pass a lot. It won't be very efficient outings, though. So, oh man, that's a tough one because talent-wise, AJ Brown's the better talent. It's going to be wildly inefficient. You would like to think that trading a second-round pick for Pickens means he gets involved more, and I think the Cowboys are going to be passing a lot. So I guess at this point, Pickens.
Oh man, how the mighty have fallen after 1 week.
I do think AJ Brown is due for a bounce back, but it's hard to trust him on a consistent basis unless if Saquon Barkley gets hurt, I can see them passing more.
We know he's not afraid to say that he's upset. Anything on this matchup before we hop to the next?
I mean, Jalen Hurts looked really good.
I think he looked better running the football than he did throwing it, but we will see. going
I
forward.
thought he did fine throwing it.
Yeah, fine.
But you've been talking about Dallas Goedert and his usage for Philadelphia. I'm surprised you didn't have a little blurb here that he was the number one receiving option with 7 catches this week for the Eagles.
Yeah, it still didn't amount to much for my radar, and that's kind of the issue with Hurts and the team is the leading receiver yardage wise was Jahan Dotson, and no one owns him. No one wants to own him, so it's just an interesting time right now as a Philly fantasy owner. I think you start Jalen Hurts and you start Barkley, and if you start anyone else, it's a you hope to get something. So not quite the fantasy juggernaut that people were drafting it to be.
All right, let's move on to an AFC West matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs played the Los Angeles Chargers Friday night, and we both picked the Chargers. The Chargers did end up winning, so we got that one right. Travis Kelce took out his own teammate. He completely leveled Worthy on a play, so that was fun for everybody. The Chiefs run game didn't get going at all against the Chargers. Are we on red alert here for that team, or is it panic mode for the Chiefs running game? And your two boys here, Justin Herbert and Quentin Johnston, had themselves games. You want to talk about your boys?
Yeah, Quentin Johnston is a wide receiver 1 through week 1. And I think he sits at wide receiver 3, and much to Alex's chagrin, because he was burying a grave for him and asking him to enter it. But Johnston said no, and here we are. And Herbert looks like a different quarterback this year, especially because he was fully healthy in Harbaugh's system going into the year. Plus, you add Keenan Allen back into the mix, a very familiar face, which is important for Herbert. And now he's got 3 weapons that he can somewhat trust and use very differently. And they were all very involved against the Chiefs that are supposed to be a really good defense too. So I don't know. Chargers look like one of the premier teams in the league right now. It didn't seem like a particularly close matchup, in my opinion.
Well, it was a 1-score game, even with Worthy getting taken out, and who knows how different it would have looked if Worthy stayed healthy in this game and didn't get destroyed by his own teammate. But I will say that the Chiefs are known, they're a better run stopping team than pass team, and Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen were targeted more than Quentin Johnston. But Quentin Johnston, with his speed and with Greg Roman scheming him into open coverage, it's pretty incredible. Like at this point last year and then this first game, his ability to destroy zone coverage is incredible. And I don't know, at this point, how do you not put a safety on top and a corner underneath him so he can't get the big play, and then try to stop the short game with Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey? Like that's the way you have to play the Chargers now, especially on pass plays, and you have to dare them to run the ball with Omarion Hampton, who got stuffed several times in this game. I know people were hyping him up as potentially a better running back than Genty, but I mean, he didn't really have a very good game this one. And I know the Chargers are down their left tackle. That Alts did really good at left tackle. So we'll see how they move going forward from there. I am really worried about Isaiah Pacheco at this moment and his effectiveness, because he was looking like a sneaky pick in the 5th, 6th round. And now I'm wondering if anyone on the Chiefs running back room is worth picking up at all. And is anyone with the receiver group worth anything the next few weeks until Rashee Rice comes back? Hollywood Brown had a really good game, early drops, but 10 receptions for 99 yards. It's not nothing.
I know he had
What do you think?
16. He had 16 targets and didn't break 100 yards, and that's a little concerning, especially since he's supposed to be a speedster.
Oh, well, he missed a lot of time with injuries, so he's getting back to full speed, and we'll see what he is. but
They need him to
hopefully
stay
they
fully
get.
healthy.
So if Jalen Royals is healthy, the rookie, would you rather have Jalen Royals week 2 or Hollywood Brown week 2? Or
So
Juju Smith-Schuster?
you know how big of a fan I am of
I'll say
Hollywood Brown.
Thornton.
Well, I do love Thornton. He actually had a really good game here too. He made some clutch catches in the time that Patrick Mahomes needed him to. And I don't know if you noticed when Brown was having some dropsies, they went to Thornton's way a little bit to get some first downs. So Kelsey and Thornton both ended up with 2 catches each on 4 targets. So he is a part of the offense. Schuster went 5 for 5 for 55. So fives are wild with Schuster. But for me, I probably would go with the devil I don't know here, and I would go with Royals as a dart throw for the Chiefs going forward.
I think any of those 3 guys, Hollywood Brown, Juju, and Royals, would be the borderline like low end wide receiver 3, high wide receiver 4s. So they're more of a fill in if you need somebody rather than someone I'd actually trust this week.
Hit or
But
miss.
do you think Pacheco bounces back, or do you think this is concerning?
It's concerning because they are using a split backfield. Pacheco had 5 carries, Hunt had 5 carries, but 10 running back carries in a game with a defensive team, only down 6, doesn't seem acceptable. So I feel like they're going to right that ship at some point. I just don't know if it's going to be against the Eagles or not. So
What about your boy Najee only getting 1 carry this entire game? You were really high on him.
I still am, because Hampton didn't really put together a particularly good game here. So to me, I think it's still an open job. I think Harris still isn't in full football condition right now. So I think it'll be closer to a 50-50 split once he gets 100%.
Last thing for me is Tyler Conklin. I mean, he had that fumble knocked out, but I thought Tyler Conklin looked good in his limited usage in this game, and he's the type of tight ends that Harbaugh likes, a big, physical, well-rounded, blocking and capable of receiving tight end. He might be someone to keep an eye on as a bye week replacement or a matchup replacement going forward. I don't know if you thought the same thing or you could feel differently.
No, I like him. He only had 2 targets in this game, though. Disley had 1. I don't see the rookie here on the stat sheet at all, so it's all things that we're going to have to monitor as we go along.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup here, the Cardinals at the Saints. We both picked Cardinals. Jeff, you're a little bit higher on the Saints this year than I am, and they made it a game for a little bit, and then the Cardinals pulled away.
Absolutely. Don't know what the Saints were doing here, letting Rattler throw 46 times in a game, and a close game at that. So, not really smart coaching there. I noticed, and we had talked about this offline, but I had noticed that Trey Benson is starting to take over some snaps here in the backfield for James Conner. And this is something that Conner actually alluded to in the preseason. And I'm not sure if anyone picked up on it or took him seriously. But the carry count was 12 Conner to 8 Benson. But Benson ended up with 69 yards and Conner only 39 yards. So Benson was the much more effective runner. And that'll be something to monitor going forward. Benson had 1 catch, but Conner had 4 catches. And again, Benson had 6 yards on his 1 catch. Conner had 5 yards on his 4 catches for 1 touchdown. So it feels like the tide is turning here. It may not turn fully this season, but it is on the radar, and it is something that I'll be monitoring going into the 2026 season.
All right. With the Saints, though, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed got a lot of targets. Jawan Johnson, the tight end, is he actually worth picking up and playing as a potential tight end one this year.
He appears to be the favorite until Taysom Hill comes back, and then that's the wild card joker of it all. So I don't
The different
know
coaching
what
staff,
happens
though.
then. They still have the joker.
Kendre Miller looked more effective as a runner than Alvin Kamara did. You think he may build a bigger role here?
No, absolutely not this year. Kamara is going to be the bell cow. 11 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown obviously saves your day. Also, 2 catches for 12 yards. I think they need to get him more involved in the passing game because that's been one of the premier aspects of Kamara. And 2 targets seems unacceptable, especially in a 7-point game.
All right. Well, they need to take at least 10 plus of those attempts, throwing attempts for Rattler, and give them to the rushing game, probably.
Yeah, what did you think about Marvin Harrison Jr. here getting 6 targets, 5 catches, and 71 yards? You think he's fully on the map, or is it scary that he only has 6 targets?
I'm gonna stay away from him personally until he plays with a different quarterback because Kyler Murray, I know the stat sheet shows 21 for 29, but he only had 163 yards and he took 5 sacks. And to me, that's on him. I don't trust him to see the field. I don't trust him to see Marvin Harrison and use him to his fullest. So I like Marvin Harrison Jr. I just can't see him as more than wide receiver 2 at this point in fantasy.
We will see. All right, let's hop over to the Panthers at the Jaguars. In this particular matchup, you took the Jaguars and I took the Panthers. The Jaguars won this one, so congratulations, you won another one. And my only note from this game, because this game felt unremarkable, and was Travis Etienne. Seems like he's the lead back as of now. And he did really good off of 16 carries, 143 yards. So he did not sniff the end zone in the run game or the pass game, but he is involved early and often right now in the Cohen offense.
Yeah, I thought Brenton Strange looked good in this game as well. He looks like he could be breaking out as a tight end option himself.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, I thought was not very spectacular after everyone hyped him up all off season and talked him up for the draft and rookie drafts. I thought he was lackluster. I do think that Brian Thomas will get involved more going forward. 1 catch off 7 targets is ridiculous, and I think a lot of that is on Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if you're starting to see the problems with Trevor Lawrence, but with a better offensive coach, he still struggled out the gate with them trading so much to get Hunter number 2 and already having Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange. So I'm concerned about the passing offense here. For the Panthers, I didn't really expect them to do much early. I didn't expect Bryce Young to struggle as much against the Jaguars defense though. So that's a little concerning. I do think that that's something that can turn around a little bit and the offense can play better. Until the weather delay happened, I thought the defense was playing really well for Carolina, so maybe it could have been a closer game, and maybe Chuba Hubbard would have been involved a little bit more. I'd like to see Trevor Etienne get involved more as well, rather than Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, and he's already getting involved. He had 1 carry. Dowdle had 3 carries, so that gap's not large for him to pass him. So we will see. We will.
And Ted McMillan could have had over 100 yards. He had like a penalty called on one of them, and I forgot what the other reason for the other pass that didn't happen was, but he should have had over 100 yards. I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a young receiving core, and you have to remember Coker went down last week and went on IR. So I just think that was going to be one of Bryce Young's favorite targets this year, and he was already out before week 1 started. So, all right. Anything else on this matchup?
That's it.
All right, we got the Browns hosting the Bengals here, and we both picked the Bengals. The Bengals did win, but they only won by 1 point, and it was a strange defensive battle with very long offensive drives, and hopefully there's a better day ahead for all of the Bengals' offensive pieces, not just the weapons.
Yeah, this is a really strange game, and it's not just the defensive battle, it's also the usage as well. Jamar Chase didn't get going at all. T. Higgins really didn't get going. Joe Burrow, we talk about Spencer Rattler throwing 40 something times. Joe Burrow only threw 23. Chase Brown was not very effective. 21 rushes for only 43 yards. So why are you running that many times to
Because they're winning.
not go anywhere? I mean, why is he the only running back used? Where's Boyd? Where's P. Ryan? Where's literally anybody else to run the ball? It doesn't make any sense to me. I would have liked Gesicki to get involved more as well. Noah Fant seems like he might have passed him already. That's concerning to me. And then on the Browns side, their running game wasn't any better. But Dylan Sampson outpaced Jerome Ford already. 12 carries to 6. Raheem Sanders, who I believe was one of these, I think Seattle waived him and the Browns picked him up and put him in at fullback. I mean, he's already a goal line back for Cleveland. So that's interesting to me. And Harold Fannin Jr. getting used significantly more, I feel like, than Njoku. That's pretty wild as well. Cedric Tillman got a touchdown. Pretty happy about that.
There you go. There you go. And he had 8 targets. Pretty good day at the office for him. Judy had 8 targets as well. The Fannin and Njoku of it all is a little confusing, but I'm assuming they're going to rotate weeks right now based on matchups and coverage. But did you see Isaiah Bond got his 1-for-1 for 5 yards? So he's at least dipping his toe in the water. Better than not getting anything. But you kept telling me that Chase Brown's not going to get 93% of the running back carries, and I believe that he got 100% of the running back carries this week. You were right. He's not going to get 91 or 93%. He's going to get 100%.
This was a strange week for NFL running back usage because a lot of people that were supposed to be in committees had one running back that they used almost exclusively this week. A lot of teams had a running back that got 80+%. I do think it's strange that the Bengals went this route because I wouldn't want to wear down Chase Brown. I would like him to still be healthy when playoffs come around too. Harold Fannin was used as an H-back as well as a tight end. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And we're going to start your slogan, don't wear down Brown.
Do you think Jerome Ford is not long for Cleveland? Because they have Dylan Sampson, who at least was really effective as a receiving back rather than rushing, and Sanders, who is young and has higher upside, and they have Judkins, who they spent a high second round pick on, coming back soon. He's already going to be practicing on Wednesday and may or may not play week 2, might end up really playing week 3. It seems like there's 3 guys ahead of Ford potentially when week 3 comes around.
Yeah, I think they'll keep him as a depth piece, but that is about it. All right. I'm done with this game if you are, because it wasn't a very fun game to watch. But the next matchup here was the Raiders at the Patriots. We both picked the Patriots. The Patriots did lose at home here. So the first Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty game results in a win. But your boy Genty, he does score in his first NFL game, but he is currently sitting at running back 23 season. I know we said top 10, so scores aren't going to be the thing that gets it done here. He wasn't particularly efficient. There were some good runs that I saw, and I don't know how good the Patriots defense is right now because Vrabel has been cycling through defensive players, and they also were missing Gonzalez and a few other key pieces, but 19 for 38, 2 yards per carry, which you say yards per carry is a running back stat. Plus, it's a revamped, better offensive line than last year. So, what's going on here early with Genty with 2 yards per carry?
Well, the Patriots spent heavily on defensive line this offseason. They invested very heavily, like you pointed out. Christian Gonzalez was out. They cut their starting safety, Jabril Peppers, before the game. So, really, the weakness for New England was their secondary, and their strength was their front line. I do think the Raiders' offensive line is improved and will be better, but certainly a poor showing early on. This week against a very good defensive line. I thought Genty played reasonably well in this matchup, and I thought Geno Smith played extremely well. Brock Bowers got injured in this matchup with a knee injury. It doesn't seem super serious, but he might miss a week. I thought Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker played well, and even Dante Thornton and Jack Betch had a couple good plays. Michael Mayer may be a reasonable tight end to pick up in waiver wire if you need a fill-in while Bowers is out. But overall, I thought it was pretty encouraging for the Raiders, and I thought Genty got better as the game got on.
Absolutely. And I'm a big Trey Tucker fan.
On the other side of the field, or on the other team here, they didn't look good either. Henderson didn't look that great, and Ramondre couldn't do anything on the ground. Gibson only got one carry, but Kayshon Boutte looks like the wide receiver one right now for New England. Not Kyle Williams, not Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte. And that's someone I tried to pick up injured 2 years ago. Hunter Henry looks like a good tight end. So what do you make of the New England offense?
So I don't think we know exactly what they are just yet because Stevenson's coming back from injury. Diggs wasn't at a full 100% this camp. Wasn't even for sure that he was playing week 1 until this last week. So I want to give Diggs a little bit of time to get up to speed and get to full speed. But he had 7 targets. BT had 8. Henry had 8. Henderson had 6. I think Henderson's going to be interesting in the passing game. I think once they fully settle in, it'll be Henderson in the pass game, Stevenson in the run game. And if they could operate efficiently there, that would be their best case scenario, in my opinion.
We'll see. But let's move on to the Dolphins at Colts. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the Dolphins pretty soundly in this one, 33-8. You picked Miami. You're a big Mike Daniels believer and Tyreek Hill fan. This was a game the Colts could get early before they inevitably collapse, in my opinion, and I picked them. So week 1, they actually looked really good. Their defense looked very solid, probably better than what most people thought. Michael Pittman, with a quarterback who's at least consistent, had a good game week 1. Tyler Warren was involved heavily. Jonathan Taylor was used pretty good, but didn't get any touchdowns, which, if you're an owner of Jonathan Taylor, you want him to get some touchdown usage. Outside of that, DJ Giddens looked good in relief of Jonathan Taylor, who was rested by the time that they got a huge lead, which is smart on the coaching staff side. But Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell and Josh Downs, neither of those 3 were used much in a game that got out of hand early. So understandable. I do want to see which one of those 3 emerges as the true number 2 with a Daniel Jones led offense. That's certainly something to watch. I'm sure you're a Josh Downs guy, which is totally reasonable. I would like to see Adonai Mitchell involved more. I'm not a big Alec Pierce guy. I think his usage takes away from the other 2.
Yeah, I think the question is will there be a third receiving option on the team behind Pittman and Warren? That will Jones be able to support a third option? I do think Pittman is back into the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 conversation, especially after week 1. His usage speaks volumes here. See what I did there? Volumes. But you love the 18 carries for Taylor. and then you also had the 12 for Giddens, as you said, and I think that was mostly in junk time. But Daniel Jones looks like a serviceable quarterback in Shane Steichen's offense here.
At least early. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks refreshed though. I don't know if you noticed that. He looks like a weight's been lifted off of him. And through 1 week, I could honestly say that it feels like he made the right decision in leaving Minnesota and going to Indy here to start.
Well, let's head over to the Miami side. Tua had an abysmal game quarterbacking for Miami. 2 interceptions, some really bad throws there. Not seeing the pass rush getting blindsided and strip sacked. Not great. 3 sacks in the game. Achane got involved later in the game when it was out of hand, and that's when he got the receiving touchdown. Tyreek Hill, a non-factor in this game. Waddle, a non-factor. That's it. Ollie Gordon didn't do anything because they were so far behind. Nothing went right for Miami. So, do you think McDaniel's on the hot seat?
No, absolutely not. I know that you keep beating this drum, but Guy still has a winning record as an NFL head coach. If it's not him, who's it going to be? And what if you get worse with that guy? Plus, that guy would also come to the conclusion that I think McDaniel will come to at the end of the year that Tua is not the quarterback, and he'll either be with the Quinn Ewers or he will be drafting a quarterback next year, in my opinion.
I think McDaniels is likely done. If he doesn't turn this team around fast, I think it's over for him. And I'm not sure I would want him to even be an offensive coordinator at this point.
My God, what has he done to you and to your family?
I think when he first took over, he had the exact same record as Brian Flores, but the defense got worse.
Okay.
I mean, his first 2 years of Brian Flores' last 2 years are almost identical as far as the record goes.
But he made the playoffs in 2 years, right?
Okay, but what did he do last year?
Went out in week 4, and the team was never the same after Tua went out. So
Shane Steichen has had a different starting quarterback every year. Kevin Stefanski has had success with multiple different quarterbacks
and
with
they've
Cleveland.
Picked them all. He has not picked his quarterback. His quarterback was given to him.
When Mike McDaniel went to the Dolphins, he told Tua, "You're the exact quarterback that I want. You fit this system so well."
What are you going to tell the quarterback that's there that's paid? We don't want you?
He wasn't paid. He was under a rookie contract. He got paid while McDaniel was there.
Okay. Did McDaniel sign him or did the GM sign him?
I don't know who makes the decisions between the two. Honestly, if McDaniels has a heavy hand in it, then both of them deserve to be fired. If it's just the GM and Mike McDaniel has no say over any of the roster decisions, then fire only the GM. But at this point,
the GM's gone.
I mean, I think they need to get rid of both of them, to be honest with you. Part of McDaniel is part of his issue is the culture of this team. They are entitled. It's all about the star treatment to the players. They're soft. They can't play in cold weather.
Kids these
They're
days.
the 4th best team in that division.
When did you become the old man of the podcast? Kids these days with their iPads.
The path to success in the NFL over the last few years is through a very good physical offensive line, being able to run the ball physically at the end of the year in playoffs, right? And have a good defense. The Dolphins have none of those. They have none of those 3 crucial things.
But he has a 28-24 record. You don't fire a coach with a winning record.
Well, he's about to have a losing record. Because after this year, it'll be a losing record. Yeah, after this year, it'll be a losing record.
Okay. His worst season so far is 8-9, and that's the season that Tua went out after week 4, and Tyreek was playing with a broken wrist all season.
Okay. The Colts had a winning season with Minshew as the starting quarterback.
And Minshew's a great quarterback. I think he'd be a better quarterback than Tua is right now.
Minshew
Tell me he wouldn't be a better quarterback than Tua.
Minshew was only good. The only success he's really had was with Shane Steichen. Where has he repeated that success?
He was great in Jacksonville.
Was he?
He was.
What's his record in stats with Jacksonville?
That's where Minshew mania started. Do not besmirch the legacy of Minshew mania here. He may win a world title this year.
Okay, looking at Gardner Minshew's stats, his very first year was okay. He had 12 starts, had 3,200 yards with a team that had negative game scripts, and he was 6-6 with his record. After
But
that,
21-6 touchdown interception ratio when he did not have a good team. Jacksonville stunk then.
Jacksonville still stinks today, but
They have weapons now, at least.
that was his most efficient year, and he still was a 60% completion guy.
No, he has a 66 and a 68 in there.
Now, with Indy, he had a 7-6 record starting, and his stats were almost the same, but 3 more interceptions. So let's not say Gardner Minshew is a top-level quarterback. Tua has been far more successful than Gardner Minshew. So, no, I won't say that Gardner Minshew would do better than Tua. No. But I don't think...
If you were starting a football
Tua
team today, who would you rather have captaining your quarterback room? Would it be Tua or Gardner Minshew?
Tua.
Okay.
But I wouldn't feel good about either one, I'll tell you that.
He is a Kansas City Chief right now. Let's hope he doesn't play at all this year. Yeah. All right. We can hop over to the Giants at the Commanders. We both picked the Commanders. The Commanders won this matchup, which shouldn't be too surprising. Giants did keep it relatively close. Their defense is going to be better than people give them credit for this year. Offense isn't great right now, so it's a rough start to the Wilson era in New York, which means the Dart Watch is on. As soon as the coach is answering questions about a backup quarterback, the clock is starting to tick, and you might as well start the change right now. But the run game wasn't particularly good either. And I don't know if you saw, but Bill Krosky-Merritt looks like he could be the lead back for the Commanders. But something tells me the Commanders are probably going to rotate that backfield every week, so you're not going to know who the lead back is each week. And I think that'll be done by design, because Dan Quinn seems like the guy that likes to keep people on their toes. And I know this one pains you a bit here, but Deebo Samuel looked pretty good in his first Commanders game here.
He did look really good. He had 10 targets, which is more than the next 3 guys behind him. No, because one had 4, but actually the same as the next 3. No, Hurts. Okay, never mind. Whatever. Double the second guy. There you go. You can say that one.
Double the second guy.
Yeah, double the next guy. So yeah, he was involved more than I thought week 1. And really, they don't have much in that receiver group behind Terry and Deebo. To me, it's Terry, Deebo, and Zach Ertz in that pass game. They do have a nice rotation with that running back group. I still like Austin Eckler as a potential flex play. But Bill Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I definitely like as the nominal lead rusher in that group. I do think Eckler is for sure the receiving back.
Absolutely. He had one long rush I see here for 42 yards, and the rest were 9 for 40. So pretty average the rest of the day, but one really long one sprung his day.
Yeah. For the Giants, I think Russell is cooked, man. At this point, you have to put in Dart. You absolutely have to put in Dart. So I agree with that. Dart looked way better in preseason. I know he really didn't play with the ones or against ones, but Russell just isn't it. And Tyrone Tracy, 10 carries for 24 yards. That's not good. Scatterboo, 2 carries for -3. And when you're using Wan'Dale Robinson as your number 2 receiving option, that's pretty terrible. I wish Theo Johnson got schemed in more. I wish Jalen Hyatt will get some usage at some point, but until then, this offense is not going to be very explosive.
Right. And I know that you are all set with Russ, but that run game really isn't doing them any favors either. And Scattaboo 2 for -3 yards is kind of scary too, because that was the guy that we thought was going to save us.
Well, they should trade Russ to the Dolphins.
There you go. That might actually work. At least you could read a defense pretty quickly, because Tua didn't feel like he could do that this year so far.
Well, and Russ would throw the ball to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. All right. Anything else in this matchup here before we hop over to a double revenge game?
Well, let's move on to the revenge game.
Double revenge game here. So you picked the Jets. I picked the Steelers. The Steelers did end up winning this matchup as Aaron Rodgers turns back the clock with four passing touchdowns. Said that choice for emphasis. And the run game in Pittsburgh needs a little bit of work. It looks like Gainwell is the de facto splitter or backup to Jaylen Warren, which is a little bit of a surprise considering the pick that they put on Caleb Johnson. Fields looked all right, especially as a rusher, but he did falter when it mattered most. And I know a lot of people were giving me flack for this, even as recent as my drafts last week, for picking Breece Hall in the 5th round, saying that he was cooked and he wasn't going to be the starter this year. But it still looks like Breece is the starter and the workhorse of this backfield. I know he did give up a few carries to Allen, and I think 1 carry to Davis as well. So, Alex, that was a lot of information on the double revenge game, but it was 34-32 Steelers in this matchup.
Thought I picked the Steelers, but either way, it was a close game regardless. So it doesn't really bother me. I know on our pick'em, I picked the Steelers.
That's funny because I feel like you went the Jets just because I locked up the Steelers, and you were like, well, the Jets could win this. And I think you were trying to get in my head a little bit, which you did. So I changed my pick to the Bengals and sweated it out even more.
It's very interesting because all of the matchups that I was like 50-50 on were all one-score games. So like Steelers and Jets, Texans and Rams, Raiders and New England. What was the other one? There was another one too that I was potentially considering changing. The Seahawks, the 49ers, all of those were one-score games that could have gone either way, but I thought that both quarterbacks played very well. Both of them played well enough to win. Both of them were supposed to be defensive teams, and the defense didn't show up at all. I agree that Breece Hall definitely looked like the leader in this running back group. I do think that Braylon Allen showed that he will get carries and seemed like he was the short yardage guy, which makes sense to me. But he was running into brick walls on those carries. Jaylen Warren, the clear leading back. I was surprised Kenneth Gainwell was the number 2 at this point. Caleb Johnson, 1 carry, negative yards. I think people jumped the shark on Caleb Johnson. You and I have been pointing out the concerns with him. I don't think he's ready for the NFL. I think he's got a lot of things to work on, but he has the talents to eventually overcome that if he works out the kinks there. DK had a up and down game, dropped an easy ball, but made up for it later on in the game. Calvin Austin looks like he might be the number 2 wide receiver that everyone's been waiting for. And we've talked about him probably for the past 2 years as someone with a lot of upside that may break out at some point and was really fast. So he's someone that both you and I have been casually keeping an eye on until anything happened. Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth are going to get in each other's way, it looks like, as long as they're on the same team. And it's going to be hard to trust either one of them to start in fantasy. So that's going to be a not so fun thing going forward, but I guess expected when they made that trade. Back to the Jets here. Garrett Wilson looks like he is a true number 1 again, and looks like he may end up having his best season with his college buddy Justin Fields throwing him the ball. So
We
pretty
like
much
to
my
hear that.
takeaways.
We like to hear that. Jonnu, your boy, though, five catches, 15 yards, and a touchdown. Seems like that'll be his stat line pretty frequently this year. This is the way that they're going to use him. They're using Muth as well. No Roman Wilson. So that at least has my antennas perked up. I don't know if he was inactive or whatnot, but he was not involved in this game either way.
Who are you talking about?
Roman Wilson.
Yes. Yeah, I kept looking for him in that game. So I don't know.
Well, you'd still be looking for him.
I like Roman Wilson.
I'm gonna put him on the side of the milk carton this week because he is missing. All right, hop over to the Buccaneers at the Falcons. You picked the Buccaneers, I picked the Falcons. The Buccaneers won this matchup, so congratulations, you won again. This was on a last-second field goal miss, so Koo is on the hot seat already for the Falcons. They're bringing competition for him as we speak. One thing I did note in this game is the run game for both teams did not look particularly good, but Bijan does Bijan things through the air, and I guess I should put some respect on his name. It's Bijan, and enunciate it correctly, but he has a huge day through the air. And Alex, I will let you take a victory lap on your favorite rookie wide receiver.
And Ibuka, I think, is the best wide receiver this draft class. I know everyone's either Hunter or Ted McMillan. Some people like Matthew Golden. Emeka Ibuka was by far the best guy on tape for me. So I like him a lot. He's the future of this franchise. And I think with Mike Evans taking a lot of coverage, Ibuka is going to shine because he's going to get the second corner or lesser coverage. And then when Godwin comes back and McMillan comes back, I think it's just going to stand out even more for Ibuka. And it's crazy that they already have the chemistry to get the 2 touchdowns early.
Yeah, and they needed it to win this game. Also, I think Evans will still get his this year. I think he'll cross his 1,000 yards. I don't think you bring him back unless you can almost guarantee that as long as he's healthy. But both of these teams need to do something about their run game, and I feel like that is a clear-cut takeaway in week 1 for a lot of these NFL teams is their run game and their run flow isn't good yet. So we will see.
I think the influx of talented defensive linemen the past couple years has made it really hard on the offensive line because I don't think it's been the same level entering the league on the offensive line. And a lot of teams have injured starters. Tampa has their best offensive lineman, Worfs, out for a while. I said before the season started, 2 of the guys I was concerned about was Chase Brown and Bucky Irving not living up to the hype that people set for them, and both of them struggled out the gate already with efficiency. So that's something that I was worried about.
Bucky did save you with a touchdown, though, so there is that. But it does look like Algier and Bijan are going to be pretty close to a 50-50 split as long as carries go.
Yeah.
And then Bijan is going to get a lot of passes and targets. That's how it feels early on. That's how they described it in camp. So this is a confirmation to what they had said there. Alex, do you know what 59 times 17 is?
No, I'm not going to use it.
1,003. And that is the pace that Kyle Pitts is on for this year, 1,003 yards.
I was going to ask you, you've been saying every week all offseason, what is Atlanta doing at wide receiver? Because Mooney was hurt for this game. Drake London was used until he got hurt. They have really nobody else at wide receiver. So it's just down to Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts Sr. at their receiving options. So is Kyle Pitts startable now?
Yes, of course. he's been draftable. He should be on a bench somewhere in every league, and I think he is startable, especially with the injuries that we're dealing with right now. So with Bowers and Kittle, and yeah, he's definitely startable.
Do you foresee the Falcons winning much this year based off of how this roster is right now?
I will say Penix is more impressive than I thought I would be. 298 yards with basically half of Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Robinson. I would say 290 throwing for 298 against the Bucks defense is pretty impressive. But I think that they are going to struggle unless their defense is mightily improved, and we won't know that for a few weeks.
I think they definitely had a chance here because the Buccaneers were so banged up too. But it looks like potentially the Falcons' defense, at least the pass rush, might be a little bit better this year with the two high draft picks in this past draft. So maybe they'll turn that around. But man, this receiving core is the most brutal thing I've seen, especially if London and Mooney are both out week 2.
Yep, it'll be interesting, and they could be putting the replacements on the field this week. It's a good throwback to a movie, I think in the 90s or either early 2000s, The Replacements. I think Keanu Reeves was in it.
Yep, I just watched it the other night, literally on like 2 nights ago.
We did not rehearse this. It sounds rehearsed, but it was not. All right. So we have a couple more games to go, and we're going to try to go through these as quickly as possible now. First one is the 49ers at the Seahawks. You picked the 49ers. I picked the Seahawks. 49ers won. This feels like a theme this week. Christian McCaffrey played. 49er weapons are getting banged up. Kittle goes down. Jennings goes down. Kittle goes to IR. As I had mentioned earlier, Brock Purdy seems like he could be missing some time with multiple injuries. I think a toe and a shoulder or some combination of injuries. And what the biggest takeaway from this game for me was Zach Charbonnet out touching and out producing Kenneth Walker.
The biggest takeaway from me is Christian McCaffrey stayed healthy and was still the focal point.
They were trolling us.
And obviously George Kittle got hurt, but is put on IR. They're going to miss 4 weeks. Pearsall looks good. Jennings banged up. May or may not play week 2. But Cooper Kupp is a dust, apparently. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, by far the lead receiver for Seattle. It's good to know because I wasn't sure based off of how the offseason went that was the case. I wanted it to be because I like him a lot, but glad to see it confirmed. But what if we said, Jeff, your Charbonnet comment, what if we said every time we talked about this backfield that he fits that zone scheme better than Kenneth Walker does? And sure enough, he looked like the better back against the 49ers.
Yep. And Darnold doesn't look fully comfortable just yet, and it's only week 1, so we'll give it a little bit of time. But you can't target JSN 13 times and then your next receiver 3 times. Like, it's not going to work well for them.
Yeah, well, they have a rookie tight end in Arroyo. They have Cooper Kupp that maybe dust, may not. And their preseason darling, Horton, didn't really, I'm not even sure he played, but he didn't show up on the stat sheet either.
Target. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to change because I think those 4 should be solid. But I don't know if Kenneth Walker is set back at all from the injuries he's suffered over the last few years, or if he's just not that efficient right now. But they need to switch to Charbonnet as the lead back and ease Walker back in, and both of them have a complementary role. But I think Charbonnet is potentially the guy that owned for the rest of the season. And it's week 1, so I'll hold off on that definitively. But early on, it's looking like Charbonnet is the guy to own.
Make it make sense, though, how Kenneth Walker was the only running back targeted in the passing game. 3 for 3 for 4 yards.
No, and I think Charbonnet is the better receiving back between
Exactly.
the two. So.
Make it make sense. But 17-13 in that one where the 49ers do sneak the road win, which will probably push them close to the number 1 seed in football or in the NFC this year for the playoffs. All right. We got the Titans at the Broncos. We both picked the Broncos. The Broncos did win this matchup. Nix nor Ward looked great in this matchup. Ward did look like a rookie, an unhyped rookie. Dobbins out touches, but Harvey out rushes, and which is really interesting. Harvey did have a long breakaway run in this game, so that's kind of what gave him the rushing yard win. And I do see a lot of growing pains this season for Cam Ward. So, Alex, what were your takeaways in this matchup here?
I don't know if you saw it, but someone on the Xverse posted the snap split, like the snap shares split of the Broncos running backs, and all 3 of them were like roughly 30% each. So that to me is concerning going forward, is you don't know who to rely on. I thought overall J.K. Dobbins was the better running back. At this point, I want really nothing to do with Tyler Beatty. RJ Harvey is a home run hitter, so I really think it's going to come down to actual usage. J.K. Dobbins is the primary rusher. RJ Harvey is the change of pace and big play back until he eventually takes over dynasty-wise. But this year, I think it's the J.K. Dobbins show. Like I said, it's likely volatile, so next week it could completely be turned on its head. So hard to react to that. Courtland Sutton is always going to be the number 1 wide receiver for this team. I know some people want to jump on the Troy Franklin train before it gets taken off, but he really got involved because Mims was hurt with a groin injury, and I expect Mims to be used more when his leg and his groin is a little bit more recovered.
Absolutely. I did like, back to your Dobbins discussion, I did like the 18 touches for Dobbins this week. So if I'm starting a Broncos running back, it's still him. But was there a harder first matchup, than playing the Broncos defense for Cam Ward?
Yeah, that was pretty tough. And I avoided starting him in every league I had him in. But I thought the first half, he played okay. And then second half, Broncos made adjustments and kind of shut him down. But the Tennessee defense may actually be okay. They sacked Bo Nix and got 2 picks. So I'm a little concerned about the Broncos offense. I don't know whether it's the offense or whether the Titans defense is better than people give them credit for. I do think that they have some key guys coming back from injury on that defense, but I would like to see Tennessee do a little bit better on passing. I would like to see Elikai Minor get involved more. I'd like to see Calvin Ridley take off, but it's really, really hard to play anyone other than Tony Pollard right now.
Yeah, and their head coach probably should be fired for not knowing that 1 elbow equals 2 feet in the NFL, because he did not challenge a play that they could have gotten and could have won the game for them.
I don't know if you followed his train of logic, but he didn't know, but he did know and misspoke. But of course he knows the rules, but he doesn't know, but he does know the rules. That's how his press conference.
Yeah, I feel like not knowing the rules and costing your team a game are 2 unforgivable, especially combined errors, and that's something that they should be looking to move on from soon.
I think not knowing the rule, lying about not knowing the rule, and just having an embarrassing press conference is probably the worst scenario, one of the worst scenarios that could happen. But I would rather be like, you know what? I knew that rule. I forgot it in that moment and it cost us. That would have been the most acceptable to play out. That's not what happened. He had probably one of the worst press conferences I've ever seen from a coach. So
I think the clock is ticking down there.
they're a team that they recently had to change GMs because they were horribly run. So, I mean, I don't know. You can't blame it on them. I thought they did an okay job this draft. So, it's on him at this point.
I agree. All right, Lions at Packers. We both picked the Packers. The Packers did win this matchup. This was the Lions' first game with two new coordinators. Their run game did not look very good, but the Lions do throw a lot of short passes, so that might be their version of the run game, especially using Gibbs that way. And Jaden Reed still appears to be the wide receiver one for Green Bay, and I feel like he was slightly underdrafted this year, and I didn't waver on him, and I feel pretty good about that right now. What are your takeaways of this matchup here?
The Detroit Lions offensive line looks like maybe the worst offensive line in football week 1. So the Parsons trade to Green Bay already seems to be making an effect, even though he only played, I think, 45% of the defensive snaps.
Yeah, just a handful.
Having a nagging back injury and joining a brand new team, trying to learn the playbook, he still wanted to be involved, and I think he helped them tremendously. So I don't know whether it's coaching or whether it's reshuffling the offensive line or what, or a really good Packers defense, but Detroit looked lost in this game. Sam Laporta had a salvageable week. Jahmyr Gibbs, just based off of pure quantity, had a salvageable week. 10 catches out the backfield saved you in those PPR leagues. No one else really had that good of a week except for a last second Isaac Tesla touchdown, the only touchdown for Detroit in this matchup. And they said that he missed a lot of practice with an illness. Otherwise, he would have been involved more in this game, and they plan on involving him more in the future. We'll see. I would like that to happen. It will be tough with 3 receiving options likely to get more 4 receiving options likely to get more targets than him. But I do think all Isaac Tesla does is score touchdowns. So, I mean, if you get 6.5 points or 7 points, I mean, that's usable. That's
It
usable.
is. He does score all of his touchdowns against second and third stringers, preseason and in junk time.
I don't think that was against second teamers because the game was too close to put second
It was
stringers
a
in.
3-score game with a minute left.
I mean, it wasn't 33-0. It was 27 to 6. I mean, come on, Jeff.
With a minute left, Detroit used to be a team that would step on everyone's throat when they were down. So I don't know if they'll get to be back to be that team this year. That was their identity.
I think they're gonna get off to a really slow start this year, and we'll see second half of the year if they start gaining steam or not. But they're too talented to have too many losses, just from pure talent base.
Absolutely, and they may have to eat a few blowouts this year just because of how they love to run up the score on teams the last couple of years. So if they're struggling and it was against a team that they ran up the score on, don't be surprised if you see turnabout as fair play. I did like the Sam Laporta getting 9 targets for and going 6 for 79. Really good start for him this year. As he tries to bounce back after injury-riddled sophomore year. All right, you ready for the final 3?
Let's do it.
All right, your Texans visiting the Rams. We both picked the Rams. The Rams did win this game. It was 14-9, so not a lot of points in this game. Texans defense, as advertised, did not know the Rams defense was that good, so Stroud had a rough game, even though Chubb ran the ball decently well, but it felt like the Texans receivers struggled a lot this game. Alex, I know this is going to pain you, but you got to break this one down pretty objectively here.
I don't think the receivers struggled. I think one new rookie play caller, Nick Caley, struggled against his former team. Didn't really make any halftime adjustments, which is very reminiscent of Bobby Slowick. So it doesn't look like that much has changed there. They only had 5 serviceable offensive linemen, and 1 getting hurt in practice before the game caused them to reshuffle their entire offensive line. After practicing in certain positions for a month, they had to play different positions And then they proceeded to have 2 more injuries, which caused them to play 2 players that they've been trying to hide at offensive line who also got exposed. So I'm not really happy with the depth there. And I think it's obviously concerning if you can't just plug in a backup at one position and keep the other 4 guys in their spots. So not happy with that at all. I think Nico Collins needs to get targeted more because Rams proved that you could target Puka Nacua against a Texan secondary that's really good. They got him involved for 10 catches, 130 yards, and he was knocked out of the game twice. So surely you can get Nico Collins involved. I thought Hutchinson had success in this game, and I don't know why they didn't keep going to him because he did well in his 2 targets. Higgins was okay. Yeah, he has 2 more yards than Hutchinson, but I thought Hutchinson actually looked better in his usage. Cade Stover broke his foot in this game, so another injury for the Texans. So now they're down to 1 tight end with just Schultz. Probably activate Harrison Bryant from the practice squad. Might have to look into bringing back Adkins again, even though that rumor was denied. I don't know why they didn't involve Jalen Noel more. And I don't know why Dameon Pierce was active after missing basically all of camp and all of practice. Why would you activate him? He clearly wasn't ready to play. And why would you play Dare Obongawale at the end of the game when the game's on the line over Nick Chubb, who, like you said, was actually playing fairly decently for what the offensive line gave him, and Woody Marks, who's your best receiving back? Why were neither one of those players used and Dare Obongawale was, who ended up fumbling because he's a special teams player and has barely played any snaps his entire career. So pretty upsetting how game 1 turned out. And we'll see if they make adjustments against Tampa Bay next week.
Yeah, seems like another tough matchup, though, with that defensive front 7 of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Texans were the only team to hold a team under 14 or less points and lose the game.
Okay, all right. And they scored 9, not even a single touchdown. So Stroud is 1 pick, 0 touchdowns on the year so far. It's the big year for him, I think, after last year. So
yeah, there is something to I don't think he can read defenses, and they gave him more responsibility, and I don't think that he's there yet, and he's so traumatized from the last couple of years of offensive line, he won't step up into the pocket. So there's times where the offensive line gave him enough. All he had to do is step up into the pocket, throw the ball, and every time he gets sacked now, it's 13 yards for a loss. Not good. Just minimize your loss there, because if you get sacked on first down for minus 13 yards and now it's 2nd and 23, that's a lot harder to get out of than 2nd and 13.
no, I completely agree with that. And you'd almost want the guy that was holding all last year. So
No,
versus getting a quarterback hit.
the problem wasn't like Tunsil wouldn't have made a difference this one, honestly. They should have kept Ursery at left tackle instead of right tackle, and they should have kept Titus Howard at right tackle. Those are the only 2 guys in those specific positions that would have been okay. Everyone else, the interior is the huge problem.
Right. So we are on to potentially the game of the year already. It was the Ravens at the Bills. We both picked the Bills. The Bills won, which is insane. Derrick Henry is just built different. He had a crazy good game with a game not costing fumble because they still should have technically won the game even after the fumble. Hopkins had what could have been the catch of the year as well. So one of your boys, D-Hop, showing up pretty big. And Allen versus Jackson could be the MVP race again. It is after week 1, but it could be again.
Alan Jackson's one of the best country singers out there historically. He's old now, but
is his middle initial V? Because Alan V. Jackson?
That would be kind of funny if it was.
Absolutely. But both showed up. You saw the stat out there that Allen had more yards in the fourth quarter than like 21 of the quarterbacks did all week.
Well, they scored 22 of their 41 points in the fourth quarter. So more
They're-
than half.
They're a good team. That was one of the ones that they could have lost this year. I think there's only like 3 of them. And I think they're going to be favored in every other game this upcoming season. As long as they stay healthy. What'd you think of Keon Coleman here? Is he the guy that I said he was last year now?
Well, the biggest criticisms people had was one, he struggled with drops, and two, they said he couldn't separate. But I saw him get separation on his routes. Like the way he cut on some of his routes, he earned himself a moment of separation, and he's also a really good jump ball guy. So I think this was his coming out party, and I think he could now be more of a focus in this offense. The other team though, Zay Flowers was used way more than he has been the last couple seasons, and if that's the case, Zay Flowers could be in for a breakout as well and finally get over 1,000 yards.
Absolutely. I think he is already almost a 7th of the way there. Gonna be a good year. Gonna be a good year. I would target Shakir though.
Yeah, Shakir is still the number one guy.
Yeah, coming back from an ankle injury too, and not 100%. Everyone's gonna see Coleman and be like, Coleman's the guy. You target Shakir here. That's what you do.
Ray Davis was an afterthought. Do you think
Cook looked good though?
Yeah, Cook looks good. Ray Davis, I don't think is living up to people's hype at this point in his career.
No, as his second year, he should be picking up, but he only had 2 touches for -1 yard or for 1 yard, so not a huge sample size. Don't know what they do with Elijah Moore. Don't know what they do with Gabe Davis. Like they have an embarrassment of wide receiver 3s right now, so they are looking for the one to emerge, and it could be a Keon Coleman, which is crazy because year 1 wasn't great, but the tip drill was awesome, and he made some pretty awesome catches as well, I believe. All right. Anything else on this game here?
One more thing here. I don't think any team has won previously in the NFL after failing to convert 3 2-point conversions. I don't think it's happened before.
Hey, it worked out in the end.
Well, yeah, I was in a group text. I threw out there that without missing those, they would have already had 41 points, and the Ravens would have gone for it. Would have played their last couple drives differently. They would have gone for it on fourth down if they were short, and they would have been the ones driving down the field for the game-winning touchdown, rather than punting and giving the Bills time to drive down the field for the game-winning touchdown. So failing those 2-point conversions actually helped the Bills win, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
It's the craziest thing.
It is possible. It is possible. All right. Monday Night Football had a little bit of a comeback as well, as the Minnesota Vikings came back to beat the Chicago Bears 27-24. We both picked the Bears in this matchup. The Bears lost this matchup. We thought this was very important for Caleb Williams and for Ben Johnson to get off on the right foot. It did not happen here. Williams actually started off the game really well and then kind of fell off a cliff after he got his rushing touchdown. I've seen some out there suggest that the rushing touchdown threw Williams off a bit, thinking that he could ad-lib more. But they really need to reel him in and keep him to the script right now as he learns the game of football at the NFL level. JJ McCarthy here had an up and down game. Started very down. Only ended with 143 yards through the air, but he threw the final 2 touchdowns to win this game. So I'm going to give him some kudos for winning the game, and he also ran one in. But not a great game here quarterback-wise for either of these quarterbacks.
This is so funny because this is another one where I picked Minnesota on the in the Pick'em League, but it's another one score game, and the Bears were winning it for 3/4 of this game, and Minnesota scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win the game, and McCarthy, fourth quarter McCarthy was completely different than rest of the game McCarthy.
Yeah.
So
it'll be
maybe
interesting to see who he is going forward.
Yeah, so maybe there's more to him going forward. Like you said, we'll keep an eye on him. Caleb Williams was a better rusher than passer, in my opinion, in this game. Interesting running back situations here. DeAndre Swift got 100% of the running back carries, was wildly inefficient because they were trying to run him up the middle for 10 of those 17 carries, which is a terrible decision.
They hate him.
Yeah, pretty sure Kyle Montague was there and played, but they never ran with him.
He had
we
one
still
catch
have
for 11 yards.
we still have heard nothing about Roschon Johnson, and I don't even know if they have a fourth running back, but I don't know what's going on there. But Minnesota's rushing attack, I have said it's a 50-50 split between Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. And sure enough, it came out as close to 50-50 snap count wise as you possibly could in this one. And Jordan Mason is the leading rusher for them, and Aaron Jones is the receiving back this week. So very interesting how this shook out. Jeff, I don't know if you're ready to concede yet or if you're going to let it play out a few more weeks, but that's totally fine.
I'm going to let it play out. You have a 18-11 lead right now, or a 16-11 lead. Sorry. All right. Anything else on this matchup before we hop over to week 2?
I would have liked TJ Hawkinson to be used more than just as a blocker. So that would have been nice. Justin Jefferson saved his stat line with the touchdown.
He sure did.
Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland look like they're going to be competing with each other for usage. So that's not good. But Rome Odunze looks like he's the number one wide receiver for Chicago as far as week 1 goes.
That's interesting. I think Moore still had 3 carries, so he's still going to be used. And he got injured in this one too. So we'll see what the extent of his injury is.
Luther Burden.
You love all the rookies. You're very big on the previous draft class.
Yes, I am, except for Matthew Golden.
All right. Let's get everyone ready for week 2 now. Switching gears. And the first matchup here is the Commanders at the Packers. Alex, Thursday Night Football, so a short week. Who are you taking in this matchup? And is there anyone special that you would start here in fantasy?
Well, let me switch over to my CBS Pick'ems so I can actually do the exact same picks and not be confused that I have 2 different picks than what I thought I had. I have the Packers winning this one. It's in Green Bay. Commanders looked a little bit iffy week 1. I think Green Bay is more talented. I obviously like Jaden Daniels more than Love at the quarterback position, but everything around Love I think is better than what the Commanders have.
For sure. Give me the Packers as well. I would be a little more skeptical to start Daniels this week considering the Packers defense, but in a short week.
Also, supposedly he has a wrist injury too.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to play against Parsons.
I wouldn't want to.
1 week off. All right, game 2 here is the Bills at the Jets. I will pick the Bills in this matchup, and that would mean the Bills start 2-0 and the Jets start 0-2.
I am also picking the Bills in this one. I think it's going to be closer than you probably think it is, but I still think you can't really root against Josh Allen at this point.
No, and I think if the Bills can just contain Fields, they could probably walk into a win just defensively.
I will say the Bills secondary is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So,
well, one Reed Fields is an easier task, I think, than Lamar Jackson was last week.
You think Fields is easier than MVP caliber quarterback? I'm not sure that's true.
Hall of Fame Fields. All right. This one might pain you to pick a little bit, but it's the Bears at the Lions. Alex, who are you taking in this one?
Man, this to me at this point, this is a coin flip, and I am going to I think I'm gonna go Lions with this one. I like the weapons for the Lions more. Both offensive lines struggled week one. The Lions have better defense. They're at home. Their receivers and running backs are better. I'll have to go them right now.
Give me the Lions in this one as well. If the Lions end up going 0-2, losing at home to the Bears, we can start sounding the alarms, and we don't want that this early for them just yet. All right, game 4, the Browns at the Ravens. And I am going to take the Ravens, and I'm going to lock up the Ravens this week. And the reason being is because I think that they're going to play very angry this upcoming week against the Browns.
Yeah, even though I think this could be a surprise upset because look how well the Browns played against the Bengals offense. I do think that the Ravens might have exhausted themselves against the Bills. I'm still going to go Ravens. I'd much rather err on the side of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that Ravens defense over seemingly just the Browns defense.
Absolutely. All right. We got another game here, and it is the Jaguars at the Bengals. Who you taking in this one, Alex?
I am taking the Bengals. It's another cat matchup.
It is cat battle, or not a bird bowl, but a cat battle.
Yeah, I think this will be a Jamar Chase bounce back week, and I think he'll shred the Jaguars. But it's also going to be a Brian Thomas bounce back week, in my opinion. So lots of shredding here.
Lots of fantasy points in this one. So I hope.
I do think there's potential for your favorite Travis Etienne to not have nearly the week he had week one.
All right. Chase Brown, hopefully better days ahead, more efficiency. All right. Rams at Titans. I'm going to pick the Bengals on that one as well in case I didn't make that clear. The Rams at the Titans is the next matchup. And I would have been inclined to go the Titans in this matchup if they had shown a little bit better last week. I think the Rams still have the firepower, the weapons, and the quarterback skills. Give me the Rams in this one. Alex, who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going Rams as well. Titans haven't proven they can do anything on offense yet, and the Rams have a pretty solid defense. It might be another low-scoring matchup, though.
Maybe. I think Stafford's still working his way back a little bit from his back injury, getting into a better condition to be able to be at full strength after missing all of the preseason, although the Rams do sit all their starters, so I'm not sure he would have played anyways, but he did miss the joint practices, which have been very pivotal in preseason prep. All right. The Patriots at the Dolphins is the next matchup. Alex, who you taking in this AFC East battle?
We don't have any differences yet, but hopefully it's this one. I'm going Patriots. I think the Dolphins are done. I think they were one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, Patriots are barely better at this point, but I'd much rather go with Drake May and Vrabel. Vrabel seems like he's ticked off, so I'm going Patriots in this one.
Yeah, go ahead and give me the Dolphins in this matchup. You baited me into it, but also teams that usually get embarrassed one week usually come back and play pretty well the following week. Even if you think the Dolphins are one of the worst teams in the NFL, the talent level between the teams is still a lot closer than you think it is in the NFL, so I do believe the Dolphins will pull one out here. All right. Giants at Cowboys in the next matchup. Give me the Cowboys in this one, and that's only because I saw how Russell Wilson played and I saw how Dak Prescott played this past week. And give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I am not sure Dayball is a good play caller at this point in his coaching tenure with the Giants. Russell Wilson starts. I don't really see them competing with the Cowboys that much. I do think it should be a relatively competitive, close game, but I am also going the Cowboys.
All right. So we only have one difference so far. And we know there's some pretty weird things that happen in week 2 because we are so sure we have the NFL down in week 1. And then week 2 likes to give us a little bit of rude awakening. But the next matchup here is a little bit of a revenge game for DK Metcalf and the Seahawks at the Steelers in this matchup. Alex, who are you taking in this matchup?
Well, considering the Seahawks are traveling all the way across the country, kind of were iffy week one. I am going to go the Steelers in this one. I expect it to be lower scoring than the Jets game, but definitely Steelers.
You can give me the Steelers in this one as well. It'll be interesting to see how they use Gainwell this second week. And we have the Niners at the Saints as our next matchup. Really didn't like how the Saints played in week one. Wasn't terrible, but the fact that they let Rattler throw over 40 times in the game, and the 49ers defense is relatively good, especially with their former coach Robert Saleh returning. And I don't really see a drop down ball from Brock Purdy to Mac Jones. So there's that as well. And I can actually have a chance to prove it potentially here. So give me the 49ers in this matchup. Alex, who are you taking?
Well, the best player in this entire game is Christian McCaffrey, and so far he's healthy. If Christian McCaffrey's ready to go and Brock Purdy plays, going the 49ers. If, however, Brock Purdy's out, I reserve the right to switch to the Saints, even though I don't really like them this year.
You got to tweet it out, so you know the rules. Got to send that tweet out. I guess it's not really a tweet anymore now that it's not Twitter, so got to send that post out. It'll always be a tweet to me.
I should never have changed it. Changed it.
Nope. The next matchup hits home with me here. It's the Panthers at the Cardinals. So the Panthers going to the West Coast. Man, this game's going to be actually a lot closer than people think. But give me the Cardinals in this matchup. I can't pick the Panthers after seeing week one.
I'm debating flipping this one.
Just to be
thinking
different.
about it. I'm thinking about it.
Well, we know who has the better backs. We know who has the better weapons. Quarterback's probably a coin flip. We know who has the better defense. That's the big thing.
If Coker or Thielen were there, I think I would maybe go Carolina, but no, I'm gonna go Cardinals in this one.
It's a hard one. It really is, because you want to pick the Panthers. You want them to rebound after last week, but man, going to the West Coast doesn't feel right either.
Yeah.
All right. Next matchup is the Broncos at the Colts. This is going to be a really telling matchup for Daniel Jones and the Colts. I do think they have the better run game. I do think they have the better weapons. We don't know if Evan Ingram is going to play or not. He is a little banged up, and he did seem like he was becoming a bigger part of the Bo Nix experience. We don't know how good the Colts defense is. It's really hard to tell once a blowout happens. So in this matchup in Indy, man, I bet against them last week and it bit me. Let me bet against them again and double down. Who are you taking in this matchup? I'm gonna take the Broncos because of their defense.
I thought you were gonna go Indy for a second. But we have a horse matchup. We have the Broncos versus the Colts. We've gotta point that out. We have to point out the important facts for everybody. The Vegas line, I think, is -2 for the Broncos, which means it's very close. It's an away game for the Broncos. Colts did well week one. I want to pick the Broncos, but I am going to go with the home team on this one. I'm going to go with the Colts.
Right. If Daniel Jones wins 2 in a row, whoo!
I do think Daniel Jones can do some Daniel Jones things, especially against a defense like the Broncos. It's entirely possible. I just think Denver has such an advantage at their own home field. I think it's different when they're away.
Absolutely. All right, Alex, it's the Eagles at the Chiefs. Super Bowl rematch. Who are you taking in this one?
I'm going Eagles. Their team is healthier with the skill position players. Jalen Hurts looks like a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes does right now. Mahomes is working with retreads like Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster as his starting wide receiver options with the ghost of Travis Kelce. No run game to speak of. The Eagles still have Jalen Carter back. I doubt I don't think Pacheco is going to be a good start this week. So I would avoid Pacheco if you possibly can. So give me the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me the Eagles in this matchup. It is closer because there is a home field advantage in Kansas City. We all know it. We've all seen it. If the Chiefs start off 0-2, that's a little worrisome as well. So they'll have to tread water until Rashee Rice and Worthy are back. And maybe even trade for a running back somewhere along the lines.
If the Chiefs start off 0-6, I could still see them make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're better than last year.
They won't start 0-6. They'll probably win at least 2 of the first 6 games. But if they win 0-6, I could absolutely see them go on a tear when Rashee Rice is back and Worthy's healthy and just rip up the remaining games.
Absolutely. All right, last 3 games here. The Falcons at the Vikings. This is a Kirk Cousins revenge game. Kirk Cousins will not be playing in this game here. Man, the Falcons are very banged up. They have the better running back room, in my opinion. And the in the Vikings here, JJ coming off an emotional week 1 win. I think the Falcons had an emotional week 1 loss. Give me the Falcons in a upset in this matchup here.
It's bold. The Falcons may have 0 wide receivers going to an away game at Minnesota, prime time, against a team that has a quarterback that won a primetime game in the 4th quarter. I'm going Minnesota. I think Kevin O'Connell is a significantly better coach than Raheem Morris, and I have a hard time seeing the Falcons be a competitive team for most of the season.
We will see here. I just know what I saw all of the last game, and one had a field goal miss, and one had a few things bounce their way. So nothing's as good as it seems, and nothing's as bad as it seems. So we'll see if it evens out here. Speaking of evening out, we have the Buccaneers at the Texans here, and this is Alex's game to break down.
This was another 50-50 matchup. I mean, neither team looked amazing week 1. Both of them are banged up. Both defenses are going to keep them in the game. The money is on the Texans right now. I'm going to go pessimistic for the Texans, and I'm going to go Buccaneers win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Buccaneers, too.
If I'm wrong, I feel good because the Texans won.
So you wouldn't feel twice as good by picking the Texans and having the Texans win? You just want to stay at 50-50?
I want a win-win situation.
You do eat an L either way, though, too.
I don't eat an L either way. I eat an L one way, and the Texans eat an L the other way.
Your identity is the Texans.
It's not the Texans. Oh, no. It's a primetime game. I don't trust the offensive line. I don't trust the decision making early. Baker is a more steady quarterback at this point than CJ Stroud is. I'd rather side on that side.
Absolutely. All right. We have the other Monday night game, and it's the Chargers at the Raiders. And this divisional matchup, should be much closer than people think. But if anyone knows me, you know I'm going to pick the Chargers in this one. And I think it is safe to... I think you're going to see a lot of fantasy points in this one here. So we start your guys, and you got the battle of the 2 early running backs in Hampton and Genty here.
I think if Bowers was healthy, I think this would be a closer matchup. But I'm going to go Chargers as well.
Man, a couple differences this week.
I think only 2. I think.
Broncos, Colts, Falcons, Vikings, and Patriots, Dolphins. 3.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, it's always nice to have a few so we can differentiate ourselves for that week.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading or listening to this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.